I see moving people behind you. Where are you?
Oh, you'll find out soon.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. All right, now one thing that we're going to ask is that everyone has themselves on mute, because I know we had a lot of feedback yesterday, a lot of noise. It was tough to hear everyone. So if everyone can make sure that they're muted. And again, we'll just wait another minute until everyone has joined in. Welcome, everyone. So good to see everybody. We've had another exciting day here at CES. Those of you who joined us yesterday know that we are in Las Vegas. So we're 3 hours behind Eastern time. So the day is still a little young for us, but it's been very full already.
My daughter
And very,
Vegas
very exciting.
on the 11th.
Okay, and if everyone can just mute themselves. All right. Okay, we are going to start. So welcome everyone back to Las Vegas and the Consumer Electronics Show. I am Trisha with Discover Live. I had the pleasure of seeing some of you yesterday. Welcome everyone from the Senior Planet audience. We do expect that most of you joined us yesterday for the live session from the Age Tech AARP collaborative booth, but we want to welcome any newcomers because we do think that there's probably some folks who are just joining in today. As promised, we are going to be interviewing two industry leaders live from the show floor and also sharing some of our pre-recorded videos from the rest of the Consumer Electronics Show so you get an understanding of what else is happening here. And then at the end of the session today, we're going to be opening up for group conversation and question and answer. So one more time, if everyone can make sure that they're muted, we do want to limit the background noise. So please post your questions and your comments into chat. And thank you very much for your understanding of this. So without further ado, Tom, we are very pleased to have you with us today. To the audience, this is Tom Kamber. Many of you know him. He is the founder and the executive director of Older Adults Technology Services, OATS, as you've probably heard, and also Senior Planet from AARP. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here today. How are you?
We are thrilled to have you here, and we are doing well. So you know, Tom, and you joined some of the session yesterday, that we took many of the people who are on the call today into the Age Tech booth, the AARP Age Tech Collaborative booth, and showed some really incredible technologies to everyone. I'd like to start just by asking you, Tom, if you can share which of the technologies and products has really stood out to you the most. And I think, you know, since we also have—
You can also just keep it up.
Oh, if you can just mute yourself, please. Yes. Tom, so if you can just let us know what's been most interesting to you.
Well, there's a few things. I mean, I think on the Age Tech, we're getting a little bit of feedback on my audio, not sure why. You might need to mute in order for me not to get feedback. We are, you know, there's a few things that are exciting about that I've seen. You know, one thing that's just popping to mind, I was here in the Age Tech Collaborative startup groups, and I was looking at the Camino Robotics walker, which just got me thinking a little bit about how far we've come with some of this technology, because you know, the traditional walkers, you know, as many of you know that are on the call, OATS works with older adults around technology training, and we've worked with people well up into their 90s. We actually worked with somebody who was 100 years old a bunch of years ago, and many people do come in with some assistive mobility devices. And traditionally, the walkers are so clunky, and they're so, you know, they certainly serve to keep you upright, but they're not really very well adapted to walking around. In New York City is where we're based, and they, you know, get caught on the curbs and they get caught on the cracks in the sidewalk. And what's interesting about the walkers, I noticed many years ago that older people were hacking their walkers by cutting tennis balls out and sticking the tennis balls onto the bottom of the feet of your walker. And I'm sure people on the call have seen that as well. And I always thought of it as a kind of interesting example of the creativity of people who are, you think about hackers being people with computers doing it in some kind of, James Bond movie. But in fact, we're constantly hacking our environments and adapting. And this group here that's called Camino Robotics has taken the technology of the walker and put it on steroids. And now, so they have a walker that actually accelerates going up hills and has a little brake on it when it's going down hills. But it also monitors your gait using these cameras that face you, and it will tell you whether or not how likely you are to be having a fall and how well you're moving and things like that. So it's actually incorporating the power of sort of digital tracking and digital monitoring so that people can see how they're doing with their walking. It also encourages people to make more of a habit of mobility. So it's using the socialization of encouraging us to reach some of our fitness goals and our activity goals, together with the sort of care and security elements, and on top of that, making it something that's much more mobile, that gets you across those different physical thresholds. Somebody's put in the chat there, what is the weight limit? And I didn't get the weight limit on it, but it is a very substantial device there, and I'm sure it will hold me. I'm over 200 pounds, so we could try to track that one down for people later. And remember that some of these technologies are, they're emerging. They're first into the market. AARP Tech Collaborative has been really looking to the Age Tech Collaborative from AARP has been looking to find these best of class, most promising companies and work with them at the early stages so that we're getting these new products into the market that are able to get the funding and support to reach people out there. So I'm excited about some of these things that they might seem like such a quotidian, like an everyday thing, but actually it's really it's like the Jetsons, but in a new era with this stuff.
Yes, Tom, I couldn't have said it better. I totally agree with you. I think some of these technologies are almost the simplicity of it that makes it so innovative. And you actually did a great job in answering two of my questions, Tom, but I did want to let you know and let the audience know that as part of the follow-up to this, we are going to be setting up a page. And Tom, you mentioned that question that came up in chat. We will be getting the frequently asked questions from all of the 7 companies that we visited yesterday, as well as preparing all of the questions, all of the wonderful questions that you all provided in chat, and getting answers to those from the CEOs and founders. So that'll be part of a follow-up that we'll be doing. So Tom,
Great.
One question for you. What would you like to see more of in innovation in CES 2024?
Well, there's a couple of really obvious answers to this one. One is older adults are themselves driving a lot of these innovations. We're doing increasingly companies are using what they call co-design or collaborative design approaches, where people are building robotics tools, for example, and they're working with older people to help test them. But I would like to see more older people here on the floor at CES helping to showcase those devices, and make sure that we're seeing the market and the productivity of the older adult population here that's starting to drive a lot of that innovation. So some of it is the kind of the production side of it, and the marketing side of the technology, which is so much about building a community of use around it. And then secondly, I think there's a kind of a balance. On the one side, there's the kind of everyday convenience devices. We're talking about the smart home things for, making sure that your flood sensor or your doorbell is operating properly and you're getting that security. And on the other end of the spectrum, what I want to see more of is those things that we're calling the delight devices, that are things that people are really excited about, that make them feel that they're having an uplifting or a transportational experience. And just yesterday, for example, we were testing out these massage chairs. And I don't know, like, they look like big pods that you sit in, but you can sit in these chairs and they will give you, like, it's electronic, but they like rub your feet. And I was like, this thing is so awesome. I thought I couldn't even get out of it. But I want to see these devices now becoming more mainstream, that are making people just feel like it's really a quality of life enhancer And I think those devoted to older adult populations, older adults in their homes, people need that stuff because it makes it fun. It's the fun factor.
Absolutely. And I saw those same kind of cocooning massage chairs, and they were so interesting and inviting. I think I saw a couple of people taking a nap there. And to the audience, this is wonderful. You guys are fabulously on time. Tom is now being joined by the second person who we are interviewing today. And just for everyone, you might recognize this if you were with us yesterday. The background for Tom and our new guest is actually the AARP Age Tech Collaborative booth. And so all that hubbub you see happening behind them is all the activity that this booth is drawing in. It's really incredible energy. I hope you're feeling it with us. So Tom, I'm going to turn my attention over to Andy. And Andy, thank you so much for joining us. I do want to just introduce you to the audience because people are going to be very interested to hear who we have joining us. And so everyone, this is Andy Miller. Andy is the SVP of Innovation and Product Development at AARP. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We are thrilled to have you. So Andy, just to level set and give you a little bit of insight, a lot of the folks from the audience here today had the opportunity to join us yesterday in the AARP Age Tech booth, and we were able to showcase 7 new products. We heard from the CEOs and the founders about these products. We saw product demos. So it was a really exciting session and opportunity for all of the audience to kind of be there with us live. So I'd love to hear from you, your thoughts on the Age Tech Collaborative. I know that you're highly involved, and I think it would be wonderful for the audience to know just a little bit about you and your involvement with it.
Sure. So I actually run the Age Tech Collaborative, and it was a vision I had 3 years ago. We've been working with startups for about 5 years, and we have no problem getting startups because they all want to work with our members. The challenge is we actually can't sell into membership. So we had to find a way to help these startups scale their business, right? So we wanted to pull together an ecosystem of large companies, test beds, as well as investors, so that the startups could actually not just work with us to refine and sort of get ready for scale, but how do we actually help them scale? And so that was the intent behind, the vision behind creating the Age Tech Collaborative. Today, I think we're just about over 200 members of the Age Tech Collaborative, and they range from really large companies like Fidelity, T-Rowe, Mitsubishi, Hyundai, to the Department of Transportation, of all people. You wouldn't think that would be something the government would be interested in, but they're keenly interested in innovation. We have about 40 VCs in, and I think we now have close to 20 test beds, including folks like the Commonwealth in Massachusetts. So.
That is super impressive. And I think the audience can appreciate who you are and the expertise that you have in this space a little bit better now. So thank you for that, Andy. CES is obviously full of a lot of innovation and really creative people and products. Which of these technologies, or what have you seen as you've walked the floors the last few days, has really stood out to you the most?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't had much of a chance to walk the floor. But I will say, I heard Tom mentioning massage chairs. I bought one a few years ago after I sat in one for a while. But I'll tell you that I think that when you think about the convergence of technology, so the idea of AI becoming so powerful now, machine learning getting better and better, and you start to look at things like robotics, right? So in our booth, I don't know if you talk about Labrador.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Labrador Systems, it's a robot that basically they talk about it as an extra pair of hands, right? It was created by the guys who built Roomba at iRobot. And so you can imagine if you think about a Roomba, it's almost like a bookshelf sort of on top of it that's interactive, can pick things up, can move things for you, can adjust heights. And it literally helps people that may have dexterity issues, may have mobility issues, whatever it may be. They now have an extra set of hands around the house with a smart robot. And so things like that I think are amazing. The other one here in our booth is Game Board. Did you talk about Game Board yet? Yeah, no, so we have one called Game Board, and this is around social isolation or social engagement. Game Board is think think of your old school traditional sort of game that you'd play at home, and they basically digitized the entire board, if you will. And what's really interesting about it is multiple people can touch the board at the same time. So imagine an iPad Tom and I could both be playing with at the same time. That doesn't exist anywhere today. And what's interesting about game board is you can have multiple game boards connected. So I could have my mom in Sarasota, Florida with a game board. I could be in Boston with my children on a Friday night. We could have family game night and both boards fire up at the same time, the same game, and we are playing together and seeing all the same things. And that's a really fascinating technology when I think about what it could do. And if you fast forward and go beyond games, what could it do? Right? And now you're creating multi-touch sensory sort of things, multiple households, different regions of the country. And I just think it could be really, really powerful. So those are two in our booth that I've seen that I think are great.
Yes. So we had the pleasure and good fortune, because those are the two that you mentioned, of seeing both of those yesterday. And the audience really was wowed by them. We got a lot of questions, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that later in the session here today. But I agree with you. Those are two amazing, amazing devices or technologies. So Andy, what would you like to see more of at CES in 2024? And I know you haven't really had a chance to walk the floor, but just in general, what would you like to see more of? What types of innovation?
Yeah, so and we're making a big push for this with CTA. More of a focus on age tech, right? So we held today the first ever Age Tech Summit, which was a sort of conference in the conference. It's going to continue tomorrow, but the idea of highlighting the solutions that are having material societal impact. There's lots of cool stuff here, right? You can walk around and find the best next gadget for anything. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have that, but how do we shine a light and really focus on the things that are going to create societal impact, right? And we've had investors come through. We've been talking about social, venture. We have big companies we're working with. We have a session going on our stage soon with Mass Challenge, talking to big companies about how are we all collectively coming together to drive these solutions that we desperately need. There's just not enough people as we move forward to care for everyone, and technology has to be the answer. And so I just like to see them focus. And we're actually talking to CTA now about, next year, can there be a section of the show floor that is dedicated to age tech? So we can really showcase, because today there's a lot of good stuff, but you got to search for it, right? You got to really find it. And that's what we try to do here in our booth, trying to bring it. Yes. How do we bring this stuff together so it can be a showcase for people?
Right. That's wonderful. And just for anyone in the audience who isn't 100% certain about CTA, that's really the leadership behind the Consumer Electronics Show. So Andy's talking about the higher ups who really have an opportunity to influence what is happening on the show floor. I want to be very, very cognizant, Andy, of your time and Tom's time, but I'd also really love to open up to two questions, one for each of you from the audience, if you both have the time.
Sure.
Okay, all right. So someone from the Discover Live team, if you could.
We have a fantastic question from someone in the audience.
Thank you, Sue.
Tim would like to know if there are opportunities for people to be quote unquote testers of all these great new products.
Yeah. So I'm going to answer that in two ways, because I'm not sure if I know what people means, but individually as consumers, we're working on this. We're trying to figure out how can we bring consumers in. Conversations that I have with Tom all the time on, okay, how do we take the Senior Planet audience? Could they be testers? Could our members be testers? And we're working on it. So the answer will be yes, at some point in the near future. We do have test beds. So we do have companies that will let their customers test our products, or our startups, products and services. But that's all done through the collaborative and through an entity, not individuals.
And I would just add in there, we have Senior Planet members all over the United States that are participating in our online programs, and many of them are also, you have to mute over there, and also many of them are using our centers. We have Senior Planet centers in New York City and in Denver, Colorado. We've got programs in Montgomery County, Maryland, and we've got an initiative in rural upstate New York. We're going to be launching a Senior Planet Center right in Miami later this year. And each of those centers provides a space where people can test out technology as well. We've done some of that in the past with some companies that are developing new products and services. And they've come in and we've done focus groups of older adults right in the Senior Planet centers. And then not only does that give the companies really useful information so they get better products that are more age relevant, but it also brings older adults right into the kind of the early stage of producing something really special. And people really loved those experiences. And I think we're really planning to do a lot more of that in the next year.
Oh, that is very exciting. Thank you both for that answer. Sue, do we have another question from the audience that would like to pose to Andy and Tom?
Not yet, Trish. But I know
Okay.
you've got a good one, right?
Yes. Yes. So
I can fill in a minute here because I wanted to pitch one thing that people haven't necessarily talked about. You know, we've been coming to CES for 10 years now, and one of the things that's happening is some of these technologies, you probably all heard about virtual reality. You've probably all heard about these voice-activated devices like the Echo. But you know, a bunch of years ago, those devices were relatively early stage, and sometimes I wasn't sure they were ready for prime time. This year, I have to say they really are now powerful tools for older people to live independently. And I've been experimenting because I know that fitness and fitness tech is such a high priority for Senior Planet and AARP members. We've been experimenting with some of the Oculus virtual reality fitness programming, like Supernatural, for example, where you can go on and do like dance classes and boxing classes and things, and they set you up in a little space in your living room. And I was pretty skeptical about whether this was going to be something I could do. And I'll tell you, man, 20 minutes later, after playing with one of those fitness programs, I was completely winded. I got a great workout. I didn't knock over any furniture or step on my dog. And I was ready to do it again the next day. It's really, you know, kind of getting me a little bit more into the habit of being active, which I think is something that these tech devices are now really able to do. They're kind of interacting with us to build some of the healthier habits that we're looking for. And I think that virtual reality and the voice activation environment are two places that's really taking off now, and they bear special attention.
It's a great point, Tom. And fitness is top of mind for many of us. So I appreciate that you brought that into the mix. So Tom and Andy, on behalf of all of us, I think I can say that we have really appreciated your time. We value your insights and your point of view. And we thank you for taking time out of what we know is a very busy schedule for both of you to be with the Senior Planet audience today. So thanks so much to both of you.
Thank you.
And
We're really happy to be here. It's really special. Thank you.
thank you very much. Okay, so on to the next portion of our 1 hour session with you all today. I just wanted to reiterate again for anyone who might have missed it, that Senior Planet and Discover Live will be making all of yesterday's materials available through a link that we've posted. When you go to the link today, the page will say coming soon. So we will be uploading the materials, the FAQs, the frequently asked questions from the 7 companies, the answers to all of your wonderful questions from chat, and then also the recording of yesterday's session and today's as well. So we are going to have that, or try to have all of that up by the end of next week. We need to give some of these CEOs and founders a little bit of time to come back from the CES show to answer all of your questions. So our target is the end of the week next week, but we will be posting things periodically as we go. Also, we are posting or have posted Colette's email in chat in case you have any additional questions. She has generously offered up that you can just reach out to her directly. Colette, as you all know, is a member of the Senior Planet Oats team and passionate about making sure that your experiences are the best they can be. And so you can reach out to her with any questions that you may have. Okay, so we promised that we would be bringing you into the action of CES. And since Discover Live is all about world travel experiences, many of you have been with us on some of our world travel experiences. We want to know if any of you can guess where Jay and I are right now. So you've seen my background here for a couple of minutes, 20, 25 minutes, and soon you're going to see Jay's as well. And we will actually spotlight Jay so that you can see a full view. But if you can guess where we are. Ooh, Teresa, Venice. You have hit the nail on the head, Teresa. Shopping mall at the Venetian. Okay. Yes. It's a combination of those two. So this is a hotel called the Venetian, and part of the show is taking place in the Venetian ballrooms. And this is a really popular section where people come to eat and drink and socialize right here in the middle of the hotel. It's really a beautiful spot. So we just wanted to kind of bring you into the mix and show you some of the action that's happening here. For the next session, what we really wanted to do was turn our attention to all of you and get your thoughts on some of the things that you saw yesterday. You know that we saw product from 4 unique categories. They were social engagement, smart home, digital health, and accessibility. We visited 7 different booths. We talked to the CEOs and founders of those booths. We saw some really incredible product demonstrations. And I'm just going to remind everyone about a few of those. And for those of you who weren't with us yesterday, this will give you a little bit of an understanding of some of the things that we saw. But the very first group that we saw was Alchemist Brain. And that is an AI, and you've probably heard this term a few times so far, AI being artificial intelligence, an AI-led digital advisory service for better decision-making for long-term care. And that I think everyone was really impressed by. So data really helping to make really profound differences in older adults' care. The second company that we saw was called Canoe. And Canoe was AR, which is augmented reality. And this is really the game. The CEO of that company, who also invented Leapfrog in the past, he was showing us how multi-generations come together with the Canoe technology and also with book reading. And I think that was fascinating. The third group that we saw, and Andy mentioned this one, it was Game Board. And Game Board, their kind of tagline is that they do for board games what Kindle did for books. And the meaning there is that you can now play games electronically without the need for multiple boards. And you can play them with people from other countries and other family members, like Andy was mentioning. I think we all thought that was a really interesting technology. And then the fourth one that we saw from the smart home category was Zebrio. This was the measurement-based fall prevention that would dramatically reduce the likelihood of people falling. And the founder, Katie, of that company showed us a lot of the features and how it works and really all of the advantages that it can bring to people in helping to prevent falls and really helping to increase balance. The fifth company that we saw, looking at my notes here, was Labrador Systems. Andy also mentioned this one. Labrador Systems is an early stage robotics company, and they were developing the next generation of assistive robots to help individuals live more independently. And so the marketing representative from that company actually showed us how it moves up and down, how it can go over next to a chair where someone is sitting, how it can help with carrying in groceries. And that was a really impressive and fascinating product. The sixth product that we saw was the Smart Walker. Tom was talking about that when he just joined us. I think he was really impressed with how it worked. I think we all were. The mobility of it, all of the features that it brings. Some of the questions that you had in the audience were, how does it actually help you to get up hills and then really help to kind of throttle back the speed to get down hills? So that was a very interesting and exciting product that we saw. And then the last one was a company called Tell Us, and that was from the smart home space also. Tell Us uses advanced sensor, artificial intelligence to predict and analyze the health of a person in a room without the use of wearables or video cameras. And so the founder of that company was telling us how it would benefit both the individuals who just want peace of mind that their family is learning about what's happening with them, that they know if they've gone to bed, they know if there's been a fall. And it also helps family members to have that peace of mind, to know that their loved ones are safe and happy. So that's just a summary of everything that we saw yesterday. And what I wanted to do now is to ask you a few questions about your thoughts on all of these technologies. And the way we're going to facilitate this is we would like you all to share in chat your answers to these questions so that everyone can read chat and get a sense of the group's thoughts and the group's perspectives. I will then highlight some of those for you verbally. And anyone who has trouble with chat, if you can click the raise hand icon, someone from the Discover Live team will call on you, and then you can unmute yourself. So we just want to avoid too much background noise. So if you can post the answer in chat, that's ideal. If you have trouble using chat, just click on that raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen, and then we will call on you to unmute yourself. So the first question, which technologies or products that we saw stood out to you the most and why? And you can be brief with your answers. You don't need to spend too much time in chat, but which technologies or products really stood out to you and why? And as mentioned, I will read some of these. So Shirley, Camino Mobility, Molly, the Smart Walker, Barbara, Labrador and its usefulness. Thank you, Barbara. Gloria, Camino, Greg, Zebrio. Melissa, Tell Us. She likes the privacy of that. Melissa, I agree with you. That was something that I thought was so remarkable. Rebecca, Tell Us. Sheila, Tell Us. The monitor's safe, independent living. Yes, we agree with all of that. We know how meaningful that is to everyone. So that is fabulous. Sandy, I love your thumbs up. So, and your hand raise, excellent. Brad, the game table, it would be fun to interact with everyone. I completely agree. I think these technologies are, some of them are almost mind-boggling how they came up with these. The fall prevention, correct the spelling of the company. Yes, okay, thank you for that. So there's a lot of them that we all agree upon. And I'm sure that some of these technologies, still so new to us, will continue to evolve. We heard from some of the founders about the 2.0 and their visions for the future. These people are so passionate about innovation and creativity that these products will continue to evolve to bring us all benefits. So thanks everyone for your answers to the first question. Second question, of the technologies that you saw yesterday, which ones would you personally use? So your answer here might be the same as to the first one, but maybe not. So what would you personally use? Judy, she found much of yesterday too confusing. Okay, well, we want to make sure we fix that. So when we answer the questions in chat, we are going to, the materials that you'll get through the page that we shared, we're going to have frequently asked questions so that you understand those products a little bit more. And we're also going to make sure that all of your questions were answered so that these products will hopefully be less confusing. Rita, oh, that moved too quickly. Barbara, your family would use Tell Us if you let them. Would you let them? How do you feel about that, Barbara? Is that something that you'd be okay sharing with them? Again, there's no wearable, so it's not on your body, and there's no cameras. Maybe, but not yet. I appreciate that. And this is absolutely your decision, but I do think that was a remarkable technology also. Anyone else, if you could post in chat. Greg, Zebrio for assistance with balance to avoid falls. I think that is so important. I really like that part of Zebrio was really about preventative measures. It's not just about predicting or letting people know that a fall has taken place. It's really about getting better balance so a fall doesn't happen. Tell us. I think a lot of people were really interested in Tell Us. That was a very, very interesting product. Yesterday was a hoot, just like being there. Well, Loyal, we liked having you there. And I agree, it was interesting. And we've got more to show you. So if you appreciated yesterday, we've got some recorded videos that we're going to be showing you of some other really wonderful technology. Let's move on to the third question. Again, if you can post in chat, what types of innovations would make the biggest difference or improvement in your day-to-day life? So what types of innovations would make the biggest difference or improvement in your day-to-day life? You can post those in chat, and if anyone needs to speak, you can raise your hand and someone from the Discover Live team will call on you. So if you can share if there's anything that you thought would really make a difference in your day-to-day lives. I think probably a lot of you are thinking about Zebrio. Dottie just said help, and if someone from Discover Live can read that to me. Rita said ways to improve balance. I think
And Dottie said
Zebrio
help
was-
with getting someone up off the floor.
Oh, excellent point. I think that would probably be a 3.0 or 4.0 for Labrador Retriever, that robot that we saw, but something like Tell Us, which at least alerts people that a fall has happened. We're actually going to be sharing another technology too with you in a few minutes that helps that too. Cindy said transportation, not driving anymore. Brad, Oculus that Tom was talking about, yes.
iPhone said flying cars.
Great response. Melissa just had a question about the zones. And again, Melissa, anything that we don't answer here, we will be capturing that and getting that answered as we follow up at the end of next week.
And
Something
Tricia,
that would
a lot of
carry
people-
things.
A lot of people were asking yesterday about a machine to grab things from up above and a machine to pick things up off the floor.
Oh, okay.
It's future tech. Those are things that they want to see.
Yes, I think that makes a lot of sense. I have not seen anything like that yet, but like Tom and Andy mentioned, there's technologies for almost everything here. If we see anything like that today, we'll take some recordings of it and share that with you on the page that's been established, but I didn't see that yet. Greg, more car tech safety. We did see some of that, and later today and tomorrow, we're headed over to the area where we expect to see more automotive technology. And so we'll try to share some of that with you also. Barbara mentioned technology that would help with better sleep. We have seen some of that and we'll try to capture it for you. These are great answers, everyone. Now I've got a question for all of you. This is
Can
the
I
fourth.
throw one more at you? Melissa was
please.
saying, did you find out if Tell Us can recognize zones? So that maybe it could let you know if someone went to the refrigerator or to the medicine cabinet so that it could get a little specific. Do you know?
Does Tell Us recognize zones? There is a radius that it covers, but I do not know about zones. And so when we go back to the booth later today, we will find out for you. It's a great question. Thanks, Melissa. Okay, the fourth question out of 5, and then we're going to shift gears again to keep you guys involved in this live experience here. This is a little different. I'd like to know from you, what technologies have you used in the past that you actually haven't enjoyed? So what technologies have you tried that have really kind of failed you? If there are any, share that in chat. Anything that you've tried that You weren't really impressed by it. It didn't work like you thought it would. Just kind of food for thought for the future. So Steve said computers, question mark. Yes, well, computers continue to evolve. And that's one of the reasons why Oats exists. I think it's incredible that there's so much focus on making sure that older adults have access to computer knowledge and gains in how to use the technology. Barbara was mentioning Zoom. Same thing with computers. Sheila is saying, oh, the dog. Yes, the dispenser. Steve, big things these days is password, the iCloud. Melissa, security cameras getting hacked. These are all really great insights. Sometimes it's just nice to know that you're not the only one who is seeing and feeling challenges with technology. And so I always like to ask questions like this so everybody knows that you're not alone out there. We all feel this way. And keeping up is really something that we all need to do. And again, that's one of the reasons that Oats exists. And so I would say to make sure you get as involved as you possibly can. I'd love to know, I just saw Greg saying, Melissa, yes, exclamation point. So if Discover Live team could tell me what Melissa mentioned, I'd love to verbalize that for the group. From the chat, I saw Greg say, Melissa, yes, exclamation point.
Hey, Trisha, let me chime in here. This is Jay. So Melissa Greg was asking if it would be nice if we can get through real human when somebody trying to call some companies. And that's when Melissa said big yes. As a matter of fact, Greg, there is an app called Get Human. That's it. That's the name, Get Human. And that's basically what that does is it helps you to get through all those phone calls, 1-800 numbers, and give you the tricks and also automate some of the process so that you don't have to continue wait online. So basically you use that app to dial the number and you will be notified as soon as the line is connected. So you will be able to talk to somebody real, not a machine, not a robot. So check that out if you can.
Okay, thank you for that. And you know, in the spirit of community, I think the Senior Planet audience is a very strong one. I've been on all of the Discover Live events with you all. I would just encourage you all to share things just like Jay did. If you see some wonderful technologies, you know, get the word out. I think we're all in this together and making sure that that we're all navigating as aggressively as we can be, and sharing tips and tricks is always a good practice. So the last question I have for everyone, what ideas do you have about future technologies? And think about this from, you know, the sky's the limit. So if you were one of these innovators here at CES, and maybe you will innovate something here for CES, what would it be? Like, what ideas do you have about future technologies? I know we heard about robots that might be able to pick things up and even help to pick someone up who's had a fall. What else? What other things would make life easier? Sheila, self-driving car. Well, as we know, that exists. And yeah, for Uber, yes, okay. That's a great idea, actually. One that could just kind of pick you up and drop you off and leave you there. Rebecca, sharing self-driving cars that are truly safe. I agree with that. We all would agree with that. What other future technologies? Sky's the limit. What would you love to see? I often think about the Jetsons, Molly, something to calculate carbon footprint. That is very prevalent. That's one of the trends that we see here is sustainability. There's really a big push behind that. But what I was saying before Molly gave us that great answer is I often think about the Jetsons, and with a raise of hands, how many of you remember the Jetsons? They were flying around, right? And so how come we all don't have our own little planes that we're flying around in yet, going from store to store and place to place?
We've got a couple comments here if we can get through it really fast. We've got
Yes.
what's the name of the fitness program? And I'm not sure what it's in reference to? Was that the one they were talking, Tom was talking about?
Yes. Yep. That was the one that Tom was talking about. So let's just make notes of that.
Okay. And then Rebecca was saying that she'd love to have something that would carry things up and down the stairs.
Oh, yes. Yes. I think that actually came up yesterday as we were talking about the smart walker too.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we have about 15 minutes. Sorry, Sue?
I didn't say anything, actually.
Okay. Okay. We have about 15 minutes left. And so what we wanted to do now was to share a little bit more of CES with you. And as I mentioned, we did a few pre-recorded videos as we walked around the last few days in some of the spaces outside of the Age Check Collaborative booth where we visited yesterday. And so we really kind of pick and choose some of these ones that we thought were most interesting. And both Jay and I are going to voice over those pre-recordings to share with you some of the things that we saw. So the Discover Live team is going to put a video on now, and we will be sharing with you some of those things that we saw that we thought were really, really interesting.
Okay, so before we play the video, I just want to tell you, like, basically we're actually showing the video, and then we're gonna have a pause on the video, and I'm gonna tell everybody a little bit more about what you just have seen. Okay, so Sue, please go ahead. Okay, so what you have just seen is the grand entrance of LG's booth. They have a humongous area in that center. And because we spend a lot of time in front of TV, that we think that will be probably going to be interesting to have everybody to see what is the latest TV technologies out there. And what you have seen from the video just now was actually consists of some of the latest TV that they have. You see some of those curved ceilings, and those curved ceilings are actually are consist of what the latest TV that they call it a flex TV. So basically, using a button on the remote control, their TV screen can be flat or can be curved. For a lot of people playing games, like a lot of the younger people or older people like my grandparents before play games, the curved screen, it actually gives people a much more immersive experience. But when people are ready to do some Microsoft Word and they're trying to do some work, the flat screen is better. So that TV actually makes that possible. So please go ahead again.
New software, an app that Samsung has developed. It should be coming out around March, April this year. But the main function of it is it utilizes camera sensors and sound sensors in the new 2023 smart TVs to automatically detect falls and cries for help in your elderly parents or maybe people who live alone or in nursing homes, things like that, right? So what will happen is if the sound sensor detects a cry for help, it will automatically start an emergency video call that will call the emergency contacts that you set up in Connect Time. And then this is what you'll see. They'll see your face on their TV, and on your phone they'll see the situation. You'll be able to talk back and forth. Hey mom, are you okay? Do I need to call anybody? Whatever, right? So it's just a better way of monitoring loved ones that maybe are sick or older or not so mobile.
So as what Tom and Andy and also some of the audience here mentioned about the fall prevention is so important. And then we start to see more and more technologies are designed and developed toward that. And this particular product is actually developed by Samsung. And in their latest model TVs, in their 2023 models, they actually included a video camera on the top and also all kind of like sound sensors at the bottom panel as well. And it detects anything that is abnormal, and it can notify people right away if they detect those. And then it's gonna connect automatically into a video conference call. So whoever is going to be on the other side of the call that they pre-programmed, they can see exactly what's going on. They can start to offer help right away. So just to Melissa, you made a very good point before, which is, what about privacy? This is exactly what we are concerned about as well. Especially, we know what TELUS is doing. We did ask the question to reps at Samsung and say, hey, what about privacy? Their answer was simply, we use our proprietary information and it's as secure as it can be, which is not that convincing to me, at least. So, but from the trend standpoint, more and more technologies, even TV manufacturers are focusing on the fault preventions now. So that's really what the point is. Sue, please continue to play the video. Okay, so what you have just seen here, and as a matter of fact, I want to ask the audience here, what do you think you have just seen? What is this technology that they showed at CES that they believe and they're so proud of? They think that this is really the next generation of TV. Anybody here? Like, I don't see the chat, Sue. So if you can just like telling me, here you go, Sheila, you're so right. This is the roll-up TV. A lot of people that they have the big TV, and no matter what kind of form of TV that nowadays people get those from the Best Buys and all those different places, it's a big black colored most of the time. And a lot of times it doesn't really fit the decorations of their house, their furniture, their home or whatever. So this rollable TV is utilizing the technology of the screen can be rolled. So if you see the picture here, you will see the horizontal stripes. So basically, the concept of this TV screen, it's just like a garage door. It rolls up and it rolls down, and that big compartment, the narrow compartment at the bottom, that's where they store the rolled up TV screen. Okay, so Sue, please move ahead again. All right. So, Sue, can you stop here? Yeah, thank you. So what you have just seen just now was actually another type of TV. And can somebody tell me what that type TV is? I'm actually very impressed. Like people said the roll-up TV, clear TV. Okay, great, Melissa. They actually also called it, they have a very similar name. They call it transparent TV. So basically that whole TV screen is transparent. You can see through. And the reason for that, again, is for decoration, so that TV can fit more perfectly into their house. If you see the screen here, and also the second screen, you see like there is actually some colors and some patterns on the TV screen. It actually matches what they see, what you see at the back. And so basically, there's a programming comes with this TV as well, so that you can actually take a shot of whatever is in the background, and you can make it in the same level of the same type of background. So the TV is totally immersed into the background. Even if you have the TV up, if somebody just like looking at the distance, they don't even notice the TV is there. So that's what this TV is about. Sue, please move ahead again. Okay, great. Melissa, I'm really, really impressed. You mentioned about a holodeck. It is not a holodeck, but holodeck is a very similar technology, but using a different type of technology. This is still a type of TV, but this is the actually the biggest push LG is having for this year's CES. What they call it a wireless TV. So what that is, if you think about all the TVs at home, no matter if it's from the several years ago or until today, you will always have all those wires behind it. If you want to mount the TV on the wall, you have to drill the holes, you have to make the holes, and you have to like really the back end of the TV is usually is messy unless you do some additional work to hide those. This technology here is actually this TV does not have any wire. No, zero. It is almost like a projector, but it's a high-tech projector. As you can see, even during the very bright, under the very bright light, you can still see the contrast very well. You can still see the brightness very well. This TV comes with what they call a transmitter. The transmitter is where you hook up with your DVD players, the iPhones and all those things. And then the transmitter actually uses a Wi-Fi technology to actually transmit the signal into this TV. They can just make this TV as big or small as they can be. The biggest size they can make is actually 97 inches. What you see here is some use of this wireless TV. What they can use is mount on the wall anywhere they want in their basement, in their exercise room, and then they use a immersive environment to create an environment that makes you feel that when you are walking, you're actually walking on a trail so that you can see the left and the right. Everything moves along as long as you move. As soon as you stop, everything stops. So that's what's so nice about this technology. I feel it makes everything so easy. And for TV, the people like who really they want to watch TV, but they don't want to deal with all those wires and the mounting. This is actually, I think it's a great solution for that. Sue, can you move forward again? All right, yeah, so okay, let's just wait for this video to stop first. Just let you know, there's some really great questions. I'm gonna wait until later time to answer as much as I can some of the questions that you guys raised, okay? So what we see here, so TV obviously is a big piece of CES. Everybody is trying to get a piece of the industry with their latest technologies. We also visited some of the booths here that we think it's very interesting, especially for people like all of us, we're independent living. This one in particular is actually it's a robot lawnmower. Basically, you put it into the lawn and there are sensors at the edges or along the edges of your lawn property. And you can actually contain the lawnmower to only work within this period, this area, and it's programmable. And also, if you know about the Roomba, the automatic robotic vacuum cleaner at home, this is very similar. At the end of the day, if it's used up all of its battery, it'll come back to its automatic charger. So in theory, this is like one of those machines that you don't have to mow the lawn again if you have a relatively flat lawn at home. So that's what this is. Sue, please move forward. All right, from some of the wording, you probably have guessed what this technology is. This is also very big, especially from Samsung and LG, and even something from GE as well, which is a refrigerator, another big piece that everybody use at home. Now, because Trisha is actually more into the cooking, I will have Trisha to talk a little bit more about what this technology is.
Thanks, Jay. Yes, this one is kind of near and dear to my heart. I loved this one. So this is a smart kitchen, and essentially all of these elements within the kitchen speak to each other. It knows what's in your refrigerator. It can recommend recipes based on what's in your refrigerator. And it can even develop shopping lists when it knows you're missing some of the items that you usually have. The other really fun thing about this is, as it gives you those recipes based on what's in your refrigerator, it actually communicates to the stove and to the microwave about the temperature and the amount of time that it needs to cook and prepare those, and will even turn your stove on for you to get that task underway. It was really remarkable and very funny also, because your refrigerator, if it's empty, you can also use it to send an order to a food delivery service like Instacart or Uber Eats, for those of you who have heard of those before, or even Stop and Shop delivery, so that it's doing everything within the kitchen for you, which I really thought was remarkable.
Thank you, Trisha. Talking about a kitchen, talking about cooking, I just cannot resist myself to show people what's right in front of me. I hope you can see what I'm showing here. You guys see? Maybe somebody needs to highlight the spotlight me, but what I'm showing everybody is actually gelato. A lot of gelato here in this Italian village. All right, back to the technology here. All right, so this is the last piece of technology that we looked, and I believe some of the audience also mentioned about, I think Melissa, you're definitely one of those people said about the self-driven cars. This is actually a 2026 model of a car. What's the uniqueness of this car is it's actually a combined product of between Sony and Honda. They call this car model. I think Trisha, can you see like what is the name of this car model?
I think it's Afeela, Jay, Afeela.
Afeela, yes, that's
Yes.
what that is. That's what that is. So this is supposed to be a car model, the car that is better than any other cars in the world as of today. They will be competing head to head with Tesla Model S, and they have all those different types of cameras and sensors, and also AI technology in here as well to make the car driving as simple, as easy, as safe as possible. But it's not going to come out until 2026. We're able to be lucky enough to actually take a peek at it. But that's kind of like what this car is. That's kind of like, what everything that we thought is going to be interesting to you, and we want to share with you. That what we saw yesterday.
All right, and thank you all for being so patient. I know that we just ran a few minutes over. Really, really happy to bring these two events to you yesterday and today. So to the Senior Planet audience and everyone who joined in, we're thrilled to have taken you along live to CES. I think you all enjoyed it based on the chat comments and your attendance. We have one final thing now that CES 2023 is a wrap. We are leaving Las Vegas and hope to see you again in 2024. And so with that, we have one more fun video to share as Jay is making his exit from Las Vegas. Thanks to everyone. It was an absolute pleasure having you along live at CES. Be well, everyone. Thank you.